Hey guys, Johnny Crimps 2000 here, and welcome to my latest Let's Play. Today, if you guys haven't noticed by that wonderful startup screen here, we're going to be playing Forgotten Worlds by Capcom. Just a quick note, this is the version off of Capcom Classics Collection, Volume 1. So this is actually being played off of the PlayStation 2. And this is a two-player game. Look at that wonderful jawline. So I'm being joined today by my good friend Megan, who is going to be player 2. So I am player 1. I'm going to be the blue guy, that is who's known as Unknown Soldier Blue. And then Megan is player 2. She's going to be known as Unknown Soldier Red. So this game was released in July 1988 for arcades, and it was actually a very awesome release for a couple reasons. One, for starters, it's a very fun game, and the other thing is that it was historical in the sense that it was the very first game that was released for the CPS arcade board made by Capcom, which would spawn a whole bunch of other classic games in the lineup. If you want to see more about that, then you should check out my Capcom Classics collection, or my Capcom Arcade Classics retrospective. There we go. Now the thing here is that this game is actually pretty. It's a lot of fun, but it can be a little bit strange to get into. Now, one thing that that you'll notice right away is it is a shoot 'em up type game. So sort of like a Gradius, the Radiant Silvergun, whatever whatever kind of shoot 'em up you play. That's pretty much what it is, except for the fact that you're not piloting a ship. You're actually a human being with a jetpack on him. Sort of akin to, like a Rambo kind of thing. You have unlimited ammo. You do have a life meter or vitality gauge down there at the bottom of the screen. So you do have to watch out for that. Fortunately for us, though, we do have infinite continues, and we will be abusing that throughout the game, just so you guys know. The controls for this are a little strange. You'll actually see my friend Megan pausing it in the middle of the gameplay at a certain point, because it is a very strange thing. It takes a while to get used to. Now here's the thing, we're playing off of the on the PlayStation 2 using the DualShock controller. So imagine this is kind of hard to imagine, but I will try to explain it the best way I can. You move around, you physically move around with the left analog stick, or the control pad if you want it. You shoot with one button. It's interchangeable. I can't remember what it was for me when I played this, when we recorded this. But then you also have two different buttons that regulate whether you want to rotate your character clockwise, and then another one to rotate your character counterclockwise. So in a sense, it's sort of like a 2D first-person shooter. You know how you use one joystick or one control stick to move the control one way, but then you use the control stick to the other control stick to move the direction of where you want to aim. And that more or less is what's going on here, except it's in 2D form, which is a little bit strange, but that's what it is. The other thing that, like I said, you'll be seeing my friend Megan pause the screen. Actually, I decided not to take it out because it is rather strange. But it is, it's very strange. So the other thing that you'll notice right away is that player 1 and player 2 actually do have a big difference here. Now, if you notice here, player 1, which is me with the blue pants, I have no matter how much upgrades I do. I always have a single shot, and here's my friend setting up her controls. You guys see there's a shoot, a spin left, a spin right, and then you move with the left thumbstick or the D-pad eventually. So as I was saying, player 1 actually has a single long-range shot, while player 2 has a wide short-range shot. So you can pretty much make the equivalent of player 1 is the long-range person, very precise aiming, whereas the player 2 is more like the powerhouse, but he has to get really up close to do any kind of damage. The other thing that you guys will notice is that we do have satellites. Well, I have a satellite, Megan doesn't. and it follows your character around, and you can upgrade it visiting these shops here. That girl's name is Sophie, and you use your currency to, which are those little blue things that you've seen us collect all over the place, and that's pretty much the currency. In this game, it's Zenny, which is a type of currency that is very popular in the world of Capcom. And those things that you see there are pretty much the only way that you can get like power-ups in this game. You have to go to the shop, and the shops, as you just saw there, pop up randomly. So it's not like you can just visit the shop at the end of the level, or if you press start or something like that. You have to wait for the shops to pop out. So you do have to sort of, you know, be attentive. You have to keep your eyes wide open to see where those shops will be, because if you miss them, then you miss an opportunity of getting of upgrading your satellite, which is that little thing that follows you around, which can make a big difference here. So as far as the gameplay is concerned, it does take a little bit of getting used to. As you guys saw there, the controls are rather strange for their time, and in fact, a little bit of trivia here, you know, because I love my trivia. I try to put trivia in all of my videos in every game that I play in every part. A little bit of trivia here. This game was released for the arcade at first, and one of the cool things is that you would wonder, well, how can you, if the controls are so wonky, and this is a, you know, this is a an arcade port, a port of a game here. The way that the arcade cabinet was set up was that it included a joystick, which is essentially functions as where you're moving your character physically on the screen, where you're moving him. But it also had an analog dial wheel, so that's how you were able to rotate your character, like spin your character and aim where your firepower was going. And if you press that wheel, that one would actually make you shoot. So it was a strange setup even in the arcade, and it's very strange, very strange. And the bosses in this game are freaking amazing. Very strange game, very strange atmosphere, but I love it just because of, for that same reason, just because of how strange it is. Here is the boss called the Dust Dragon. Thank you, Megan, for pressing the start button, even though when I recorded this footage I kept telling you do not press the start button. Oh, Megan. So anyway, this is the Dust Dragon. This is actually the second boss that we faced. The first one was named Paramecium, which was that kind of like mouth thing that was attached to the wall that had all that junk flying around it. But this is the Dust Dragon, and it's kind of like half dead, half melted kind of looking thing. It's very horrible looking. A lot of these monsters look pretty horrible, pretty strange. I mean, this dragon didn't even have a hand, for God's sakes. So it's a very strange game, but I love the visuals just because of how unique they are. Believe it or not, there is a plot to this game. The plot, and I will try to kind of summarize it as best I can, but in the near future there is an evil man called Emperor Bios, who pretty much destroyed the Earth. And after destroying the Earth, he made his own kind of like world in his own vision known as Dust World. Don't ask me why, but it is. And that's why everything looks all wonky and stuff like that. This Emperor Bios has 8 evil gods that follow him, and the evil gods are pretty much the bosses in this that we face. So we've already faced Paramecium, and we faced the Dust Dragon a little while ago, and those are the 8 evil dragons that we're trying to face here. And so, in order to protect the world and avenge the world, if you will, there were 2 brave soldiers that stepped up to the plate and said, "Nah, son, you're not gonna destroy and take over our world just like that." And that's basically who we are right here. We are, unfortunately though, even though we stepped up to the plate and we should be getting applauded and stuff like that, apparently nobody thought to ask these guys what their names were, because unfortunately they are known as the Unknown Soldiers, which never made sense to me, but whatever. Even though they've actually appeared since the release of this game, they've appeared in other games, usually just as support characters, like in Marvel vs. Capcom, or in games that more or less, they're joined alongside other Capcom characters, like in Card Fighters Clash and Namco Cross Capcom. Even in those more recent games, they have still not been given official names. I mean, they do have official names, but their official names are Unknown Soldiers. So, what the hell? I mean, you'd think that these two guys who pretty much, for the love of God, they beat gods. They shoot gods to death. Gods. And nobody asked them for their names. But, I mean, that's what it was. This is during the time... Damn it, Megan, stop pressing the start button. This was during the time when, you know, this was like at the peak of 80s shoot-'em-up action movies where, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger and, you know, Jean-Claude Van Damme and freaking Sylvester Stallone were an action movie after action movie, and they never ran out of bullets. This is pretty much like that, but in space. And it's glorious. So anyways, you guys can tell right here, the settings go all over the place. We started in sort of like this post-apocalyptic place, like setting, and now we're going here, which is more like almost like Egyptian almost. And we're going to be facing the huge monsters. You guys can probably already start seeing there. We're moving the camera's panning up. This guy's name is War God. Original name, I know. And look at those spikes coming straight out of his crotch. That's nice. That's wonderful. And the bosses are absolutely huge. They're weird. They're strange. There's really no kind of explanation of how they work. They just do. And this is War God. Really, the bosses, in my opinion, it may just be because we do have infinite continues, and I'm sure they were harder in the arcade version, but they're, you know, they're pretty much large targets. That's pretty much what they serve, but it doesn't change the fact that they are pretty awesome looking. And a bit more shooting around here, this big war god, this big Egyptian looking thing, and he'll go down like the sucker that he is. I like his facial expressions too, by the way. Watch me when I hit him in the face. He's just like, ugh. And the fact that this is, you know, we're playing two-player, it makes things a lot easier too. Look at that mouth. And I'm going like crazy over there in the top right. Anyway, guys, that's it for part 1 of Forgotten Worlds. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I will see you guys in part 2 after we get a little cutscene here of our two rad dudes. Did the war god really die? No doubt about it. The king of gods must be saying his prayers now. So great. So great. As always, if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you want to get more stuff from me. In the meantime, if you like my videos, be sure to find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Raptr, and Screwattack.com to see the other gaming related content that I upload. Info is in the description. Who knows? Maybe you'll like my stuff. Maybe. Maybe.